how much do you fight for the cause, and do you say, I have this one life. I don't know what happens in the afterlife. Why am I going to be like one of the people in the meat grinder at Stalingrad? Fuck this. I know I'm buying into this capitalist system. I know it's Amazon and all this Walmart and all this shit, but I need to support my kids. I need to like live my own life. I can send money to something. I can do that, but I cannot commit my life to what needs to be committed to actually change shit. Where do you think you find yourself in that?
That's a really good question, and I think people have to face it all the time on particularly or anybody that's very political, that makes politics part of their identity or a big part of their life goal. Is this exact sort of struggle where you understand that you will have very limited impact, and just by virtue of subscribing to this political ideology, which I truly believe in my heart to be in the general direction of humanity growing up. To be that committed and understand that analysis, it sort of makes the world even shittier. So like there's a status quo that's already shitty, and then you learn all these critiques of the status quo that are very highfalutin, very high level critiques. So now you have devastating critiques of every element of society. So then you start to feel yourself to be kind of trapped in this inferior society, right? That has all these things that are so clearly wrong to you that you spend your days with diligent study, understanding how wrong they are, right? And you kind of can put yourself in a bad mental state.
I forgot, there's an author that put it, is you learn the workings of the mousetrap.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that makes living in the mousetrap even less bearable.
Because you know that it's going to snap once you grab the
So people
cheese.
will say this a lot, like they'll be joking around on the internet like, man, I wish I never fucking was introduced to Marxism because everything sucks.
Yeah.
And it is hard to get past that. One way you cope with that is to try to work towards this better world, but there's also a lot of impotence in that, because no one person, no 100 people, you can't do anything by yourself. You can do the best. You can try to live up to your values, but fundamentally you find yourself in this position where the gap between what could be and what actually is so big that it's hard to find any contentment with the things as they are. Then the question arises, okay, well then just give up on that vision. Give up on dedicating your life to this thing that almost certainly won't happen in your life and you have very little control over anyway, and sort of adapt yourself to the actual conditions in which you actually live and try to find happiness in that.
And by the way, when you're saying give up on that, it can sound like very self-defeating, but when you're giving up on that, you're giving to your children.
Well,
you're
in what way?
helping them out. So, like when
I don't understand that.
Okay, so yeah, that's why I'm saying why it could be so incredibly difficult is because when you're saying like I need to give up on this ideology, if I take all the shit down that I wrote, I can get a better job. If I get a better job, I can house my kids better. I can send them to a like school with lunches. Sure. I can do this type of stuff. Like the thing is that
basically play the game.
Instead
of worrying about why the game is wrong,
because the game is so rigged.
Cynically play the game
because it uses your love of children against you. Yeah. Because the game,
it does.
Because the thing is everybody looks at it as like, well, you have to play the game, but you can't believe your ideology, and that seems like such a starved artist sort of thing that you could. I'm going to lean on that. It's like no, but when you play the game, the kids that came out of the womb of the person you loved, the kid, like the thing that you see God in when you never saw God before, the thing, it benefits them. So you know what? I love this ideal that could change the world, but not as much as my kids.
Okay, and it makes hear me out on this.
All right.
Because I kind of disagree, because the idea is there is like to better serve your children, you buy into the system and you just try to succeed in the system. And sometimes your ideology will hold you back from succeeding in that system. So just toss aside the ideology, go for the money, work the mousetrap.
Go for the structure.
Sure. And then turn around and because you have more money, you're in a better position. You can give your kids a better life. That's one way of looking at it, but I think that's kind of reductionist to what money can actually do for people. I think what's much more important is not to give my kids a good life in the sense of course, there's a certain level of material comfort that they deserve and they need, and I will always make sure that they have that. But actually, I think it's more enriching as a father to pass on to them these values and this deeper understanding of the world around them than it would to get them 6 times more things at Christmas or to live in a house twice as big, etc. Right?
Right. I know, but I think you're at a strange vantage point because you are. Imagine you can't do what you're doing for a living for your cause.
No, yeah.
Imagine you're back at NFM and that is your life.
And I've thought about it in those contexts. Like I'm actually suffering more because I have this stuff that I know what could be in the world I want.
Yeah.
And the world I'm living in is even so much shittier in comparison to that.
Yeah.
And I have to find my fucking way out sort of thing. It started becoming very existentially important that I fucking find a way out, any way out
Yeah.
of this thing.
Right, because I always thought that, I hated hearing this, and maybe it's just because I'm a natural contrarian, except I really don't mean to be. I want to go along with the program. I want to be.
You want to?
Yeah, I want to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't know why people keep saying that phrase. It's horrible. 900 people died. But I want to just go along with it. But I'd listen to some podcast where there's people that, said, it's kind of like what you've said before about Joe Rogan, where it's like, it's just easy from your mansion to say this shit. Absolutely. And some people will say that too, where it's like, I'm speaking the truth. Who else is going to speak the truth? And it's like, yeah, but what you do for a living is speaking to an audience.
Yeah.
There's people out there that they pump gas.
Yeah.
They build oil derricks. They do something else with gas. I don't know why I was stuck on gas. But they work retail. They're store managers. They're like, it's easy for you to say that because it acquiesces with what you already do. If you were not politically inclined, you would already be doing this stuff.
Right.
So like people, and I hate it because they stand on this like podium of like, I'm doing this. Why is no one else? It's like, yeah, but your life actually aligns with doing that.
Right.
Now imagine trying to do that. Trying to be in a West Virginia community, a county, where everybody, even though the coal is choking them to death, everybody votes Trump, and just trying to hold up those political views and raise your family.
Yeah. No, it's a real problem people confront. But and I've thought about it many times, especially when I was working shitty jobs. But here's the realization I came to: it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy for me to pretend that I could so easily just stop caring, stop thinking in that way, stop being temperamentally inclined toward that type of stuff, because it's impossible for me to do it because it comes from some deep place within me. I am temperamentally, personality-wise inclined against injustice, against these things. And yes, I do read up on it and I confirm that sort of inbuilt temperament and I build upon it, but that temperament will be there either way. It's the same thing if I asked you, hey, if you just believed in God, you would be a lot happier. And even if you said, I agree with you, I want to believe in God, you still couldn't, right? Even if every part of you wanted to believe in God right now, because you know that would make you a little bit more happy or whatever, you still could not do it. And the same thing is true with me. I could not turn that part of me off because it is so fundamentally intertwined with who I am at the deepest level. It is my value system. Right. It is my hardcore bedrock beliefs, not just communism, Marxism, etc., but my inclination toward loving other people, toward justice, and the fact that I just can't look at the world and not see the horrors.
Yeah.
You know?
I